Jeff Zrebiec is the senior staff writer for The Athletic. He covers the Ravens. He joins us now. Jeff, thanks for joining us. Where are the Ravens players right now?
Ravens players are at home, but the hope is that they'll have a practice later today, another walkthrough practice, which would be a second straight day with the walkthrough. And then at least the tentative plan tonight is to fly out to Pittsburgh, and to continue preparations for the game tomorrow afternoon. But of course, that's all, pending, because they're going to have to wait to see if there's any positive tests from this morning's batch of tests. And they're now at 9 straight days with positive tests in that building. So that's hardly a given that there won't be.
And there was no chance Lamar Jackson was going to be able to play.
Yeah, no, he's in the middle of a 10-day isolation after he tested positive over the weekend. The hope is that he will have enough time to be back for, the Dallas game, which was moved to next Tuesday now.
I heard from a source this morning, and I want to bring this to your attention, about what has gone on with the Ravens. And this came from a league source last night, saying that, because I said, do the Ravens feel like they're being picked on? And what I got was classic hypocrisy. They won't be vigilant about the protocols in the front end. John Harbaugh cries he's being screwed on the back end for consequences of said violations. His coaching staff was responsible for the outbreak there. What do you make of that comment?
Well, there's still work being done to figure out how, the entry point in the building. But obviously there's a lot of focus on the strength and conditioning coach. The Ravens disciplined him and suspended him for a while, and we'll see about that. But yeah, obviously when you have this many cases, and we're talking about over 30 now in the building, not just counting players, we're talking about support staff, you have to wonder whether the protocol was all being followed. And the Ravens had said a lot this year about how comfortable they were with the protocol and how much money and time they invested in it. And now they've had the team with the biggest, they've been the team with the biggest outbreak in the NFL. So there's obviously some questions there that they're going to have to answer in terms of whether they're following protocol and what they were and were not doing.
I'm trying to separate fact from fiction as well when it comes to this story with the Ravens. Was there the possibility of a wildcat strike of the Ravens? Was that topic broached by the team?
I know there were some players that were, weren't willing to play. They did not want to play Tuesday, and they made it clear. And that kind of started on Sunday. Sunday afternoon, they had a virtual meeting with NFL chief medical guru, Dr. Alan Sills. And it apparently was pretty tense, and players made clear they weren't happy with how some certain situations were being handled. They were particularly disappointed and kind of, frustrated with the lack of an immediate test on game day mornings. I mean, this is kind of, they had multiple positive tests on November 22nd, the morning of the Titans game, but all those people are on the field or on the sideline because they didn't have the test results between later that night. So it was pretty tense there, and they all weren't buying what Dr. Sills was saying. They were kind of disappointed with some stuff. And then the disappointment grew the next morning when they reported to practice and they were sent home again because the league wasn't ready to have them practice. So, yeah, and then they had a players only meeting where they kind of decided that, look, we're not playing on, we're not willing really to play.
Wait, Jeff, I'm confused. Shouldn't the Steelers be upset? Not the Ravens?
Well, obviously the Steelers should be upset. You know what I mean? They've now been innocent bystander in 2 of these situations. But the Ravens also, have safety concerns from their end too about the whole thing. But obviously, depending on how this was brought into their building, there's definitely a case could be made that, they're at fault for a lot of this.
How big of a disappointment are the Ravens viewed in Baltimore?
In how they handled the situation?
No, they're just their performance on the field.
Oh, yeah, there's been a lot of frustration, Dan. I mean, it's just, they had high expectations this year and, starting with the offense that really hasn't been productive all year, been very inconsistent. Obviously, the perception is quarterback Lamar Jackson has taken a step back. They haven't played well. They've been, in a lot of big games. So, yeah, definitely. I mean, before, the loss to the Titans sort of increased the frustration with the team. And ever since we've had, the COVID outbreak.
But I'm also wondering about Lamar Jackson. Did he take a step back or did defenses take a step forward?
I think it's a combination of everything. I mean, they talked a big game all offseason about needing to evolve offensively because they knew defenses were going to have a better handle on what they were doing. And they just haven't done that. They just haven't been able to adjust to what defenses have been doing. I mean, some of it's on personnel. The offensive line has taken a step back. That hasn't helped Jackson. They don't have a top-notch receiving core. But Jackson's also missed some throws, and he has been unable to unlock the downfield passing game, and he just hasn't been as confident or as sharp or as efficient as he was last year. So there's plenty of blame to go around, but Jackson definitely has to have the accountability in it.
And how is this offense different with RG3 running it instead of Lamar Jackson?
I think it's going to be a similar offense, but obviously you don't have, the athleticism and the dimension, that, Lamar Jackson brings. He's one of a kind in that area. But Robert Griffin's plenty capable. The issue is, their offensive line is a mess right now. They probably will start a center who's never played in the NFL before in terms of offensive line. They don't have their fullback. They don't have their blocking tight end. So they're kind of a mess throughout the personnel. But I'm sure they'll try to keep their offense as similar as possible. And Robert Griffin's beaten the Steelers before. I know it was a different situation last year, but they'll be capable. They'll be capable of moving the ball, but they definitely have a lot of hurdles to overcome in terms of all the absences.
Lamar Jackson sensitive with the media at all with criticisms this year?
No, he's, it's always been tough this year, Dan, with the whole Zooms. We haven't been in the locker room. We haven't had in-person press conferences. So it's always hard to say how players are reacting. But he's been pretty similar to what he was last year. I mean, you have seen him express more frustration on the field. You've seen a couple of, animated conversations that you didn't really see last year. But I imagine that all comes with the frustration of not playing as well and the team losing.
He's not traveling with the team.
No.
Okay.
No. I mean, the question is the 1 day delay really, it affects potentially two players, J.K. Dobbins and Mark Ingram. Their self-isolation ends today. They're 10 days. So they theoretically could fly tomorrow to Pittsburgh. And they're going to have to do it early to get in turn for the 3:40 kickoff, and they could play. But that's going to be a decision they're going to have to make if you want two guys who haven't practiced in 10 days to kind of just jump right on the field and play.
Thank you, Jeff. You certainly have a lot to write about there. Hopefully we get this game in. We appreciate your time, and thanks for joining us again.
Thanks for having me.
That's Jeff Zrebiec. He's senior staff writer for The Athletic covering the Ravens.